Well, good evening. I appreciate everybody for being here tonight for this Municipal Candidates Forum to get to know your candidates for Pelham City Council and the Mayor of Pelham. I'm Alec Etheridge with Shelby County News Media, publisher of the Shelby County Reporter, Pelham Reporter, and Shelby Living Magazine. We're very pleased to be co-hosting tonight's event with the Shelby County Chamber. And Kirk Manser right here up front is going to be our official timekeeper tonight as well, the thankless job up here. So thankful to have him here tonight and helping out with the event. On behalf of our co-hosts, we hope that you find this program both interesting and informative tonight, and we're pleased that you could be with us. All candidates seeking election for Pelham civic leadership were invited to participate in tonight's forum. And to begin tonight's forum, we're going to hear from the candidates running for City Council Place 1. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and invite the candidates for Place 1 to come to the stage. And as they're coming to the stage, I'm going to explain the format for this portion of the forum. As you can see, we've got Place 1 here. The rest of our places are going to be in a holding area since we will be doing a Q&A format tonight so that they do not hear the questions before their time comes for the other places tonight. Each candidate will be asked the same questions and given 2 minutes to respond. The sequence for answering questions will rotate alphabetically. None of the candidates have been provided with any of the questions prior to tonight's event. After the candidates have answered the questions posed to them, each will then have an opportunity to make a closing statement that will also not exceed 2 minutes. Kirk Manser with the Shelby County Chamber will act as timekeeper and provide each of the candidates with a countdown during their comments by holding up a card indicating the time remaining. Kirk is right up here up front, so make note of that as he gives you that countdown. We will now begin tonight's forum with our first question for David Coram in Place 1. So our first question is, please tell us about a time when you have witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Well, thank you, first of all, Shelby County Chamber for holding this event, and for Shelby County News, we appreciate it. To answer the question, I work in hotel operations, and I worked for a company one time that was trying to get certified by Marriott to be able to put some Marriott hotels in place. And because of my experience, they had me stand up in front of Marriott, and they wanted me to say a lot of things about the company that simply were not true. And even though I knew it would cost me my job and my livelihood, I stuck to what I believed in, and I opted not to do that. And then the very next day I resigned, but I still was able to maintain my integrity when it came to that. And as a result of it, shortly thereafter I was able to find another position which made more money. And so as a Christian, I believe that if you honor God, He's going to honor you when it comes to that. Thank you very much.
We will now invite Michelle Power to the stage, or to the microphone, for the same question. And I will repeat the question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Well, integrity to me is just doing the right thing, and sometimes it's difficult to make those decisions when you know that some other people are not agreeing with you. I've had this happen in multiple situations, being in education and just, making sure I'm advocating for the kids, and sometimes I may not always agree, but we always have to make the right choices for the kids' success. So I've had to advocate and make sure that we are making the plan for those students so that they are successful. And I feel like I could bring that also to the City Council and with those decisions, and making sure that we listen to what the people want for our city.
Perfect. Thank you. We will now move on to question 2, and Ms. Power will stay up there. Sorry, a little late on that one. That's my number 1 job tonight. So, question 2, what would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? Can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
So the initiative that I would do is, I'm a mom of a special needs daughter, and we used to have programs for those students. She is now aged out of school, so I would like to also help adults that have aged out to have opportunities. Bring back, we used to have a thing called Opportunity League, and we partnered with Easter Seals, and I would love to bring back something. I have spoke to the lady that does Miracle League for Shelby County. She's the president of Miracle League, and she has reached out to me to partner, so we can also partner for youth programs, as well as they do a monthly special needs event, so that those adults can actually do activities and still have socialization outside, since they're no longer in school. So I would love to try to do that and bring that back to Pelham, even if it's not a Pelham initiative, partner with Miracle League and make sure that we can get that going again. Thank you.
We now invite Mr. Coram back to the microphone for the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Certainly. There's a couple of different things that when you're on the council, you really have to struggle with, and that is, what can you spend money on that touches the most amount of citizens in our city? As you all know, we've grown quite significantly over the last decade, and as a result of it, sometimes we may not have the infrastructure in place to do what we need to do. Our past leaders were great in putting out our sewer and water system that we have in place, but it's aging over time. And so one of the initiatives that we worked on with this council was to revitalize that. I think we need to continue in that direction. We had sections of our city that were still ductile iron, which is something that degrades over time. And when you think about what in the city touches every single citizen, it's water and sewer. And that's where I think we need to focus a lot of times. There's also some paving projects and things that are in progress that I think we can put more money to. But really, that is a vital thing. If we're going to continue to grow at the rate that we're growing, we're going to need to make sure that we have that infrastructure in place to be able to handle that growth. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to closing statements from each candidate. The order of those closing statements was determined in a drawing before they both came up on stage. And that order will start with Michelle Power and then David Court.
Good evening. The question I've gotten often is, why are you running? For that, the answer starts with my story. I was born and raised right here in Pelham by my mom, Joyce Greer. My dad battled severe mental illness and wasn't around much. So my mom, working as a bus driver and a cafeteria worker in Pelham for over 30 years. She's my hero. Pelham showed up for us. There was no judgment, no support. I mean, lots of support, and it was helpful. And they always had many acts of kindness in the community. That's where I learned the value of community, the importance of service, and the need to stretch every dollar. Fiscal responsibility isn't just a buzzword to me, it is a way of life. And it's the mind I set to bring before the City Council. I'm a proud graduate of Pelham, and then I put myself through college at the University of Montevallo. After that, I received my master's degree at UAB. My husband, Adam, and I raised our 3 children here. Our oldest, Maddie, was born with special needs and wasn't expected to live through the night. She's now 25 years old. The prayers and love and support from the Pelham community and schools helped us through these challenges. The city is my home, my history, and my heart. I'm running for City Council to continue the service, same heart and integrity, and to work for solutions that make life better for all citizens. I will listen and make decisions and put people first. That's the kind of council I will be. On election day, I ask for your trust, your partnership, and your vote, so together we can protect what makes Pelham strong and build a future for all to pass on. Thank you.
Now David Coram will give his closing statement.
Well, thank you all for coming this evening. a little over 4.5 years ago, when I was elected to serve on the city council, it was the greatest honor of my life, because I felt that people truly believed in me and the cause that I was standing for. And there were some promises that I made 4 years ago. I know a lot of politicians make a lot of promises, but there were 4 promises that I committed to doing. One of those was securing money for our school system, and as a council we did that. The other was to make sure that a fire station that was approved by the previous council was completed. We got that done. The third thing was to make sure that we had new trash service, because as you guys know, we had terrible trash service in the past. We got that done. This council has moved a lot of things forward. And if you want the kind of leadership where I've been able to talk to you on a regular basis, where you could call me, you can go to my website and dial a telephone number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and call me, I respond. I not only respond, I come out to where your issues are at. I look at them, I talk about them with you, I answer questions, I ask questions, I take pictures to make sure that I can talk effectively to City Hall and make sure that your needs are met. Sometimes we're able to meet them, sometimes we can't. But one of the things I committed to doing was to being your representative. And if that's the kind of leadership that you want to represent you in City Hall, then on August 26th, I need you to go to the polls and re-elect me to place 1, Pelham City Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give both these candidates another round of applause. Running for place 2 to the stage. We're going to begin place 2 with Will Blake, who will get our first question first. So we'll invite Mr. Blake to the microphone. The first question is, please tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Hello, I'm Will Blake, running for Pelham City Council Place 2. So, with this question, I work for a bank. I worked for a bank for 20 plus years. So, I do floor planning for car dealerships. So I deal with independent car dealers all day, every day. So, there is one issue when I go to do an audit for a car lot, go find the cars, and if a car is sold, get the bill of sale. Well, sometimes a car dealer will extend the date of the bill of sale. So that is a red flag, huge no-no. So they'll ask me to look the other way. They'll try to change the date of the bill of sale. And, well, I tell them, I was like, well, if I tell Carbucks, that's the company I work for, Carbucks Floor Plan, if I tell them, well, it's okay if the dealer changes the date of the bill of sale, isn't it? That's okay. Well, I will no longer be working for Carbucks Floor Plan. So, with all that being said, it is my best interest for Carbucks and the future of Carbucks to do everything by the book, rules, regulations, follow up, and hold everyone accountable with every single step at every single time. Thank you.
We'll now invite Chad Leverett to the microphone, and we'll ask the same question. Please tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Well, one thing, I don't shy away from sticky situations. I've always tried to make the decisions that I feel like are in the best interest of this city. Some may not agree. I'll always come to the defense of a decision that I make, whether it be on social media or in private or in public. And most recently, I can name several of them since I've been on the council, but the most recent one was the school board appointment. I haven't shied away from why I made the decision that I made. Some people don't understand it. Some people disagree with it, and that's fine. We can agree. We can disagree. But that tested my integrity. I told some people that it brought me to my knees. I've cried with some people in this room over it. Prayed with some people. And when you're in this position, sometimes you have to make tough decisions, and you have to cipher through all the information that you're given and make the decision that you believe is in the best interest of the city. Do I get it wrong? Sure, we're all human. We get things wrong. And so, but every decision that I've made that decision on my own with the information that I have in front of me, and I'll end there to save some other people some time.
And Mr. Leverett, we'll go to the next question with you as well. Question 2, what would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
So this is a topic that I'm not 100% familiar with, but I have done some research on it. I was out knocking on some doors, and someone came up with the idea of a railroad crossing quiet zone. And in looking into that, they cost around $250,000 per intersection. But instead of the 2 gates where cars can wiggle through and go around, it has a quad gate system, and some have a center. And what this allows to do is it allows the trains to not blow the horn as they go through. So if you live close to a train or a train track, it would eliminate those, provided that the elimination request of that is approved from the FRA. And so, don't know, some of our county friends have heard of that before. It's kind of new around the country. There's a consulting firm that goes around and does some consulting, but I think things like that would be at least worth exploring, just to see what it would do. If you live by a train track, like I said, then you probably get tired of the train honking their horn at all hours of the night too. Thank you.
We'll now invite Mr. Blake back to the microphone with the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
I was going to use this on my closing statement. I'm going to go ahead and use it now. So, I would like to see personally on adding this to it, if elected and when elected, I would like to add this immediately to the agenda to the city council. And what is that? I would like to see a reduction in sales tax, 0.5%. As we all know, the city council raised 1%. So I've broken it down into 0.25 4 times. Immediate 0.5 reduction, 0.25 stays with the city, and then, here we go, 0.25 reallocated to the school system. So right now the school system is 1%. I would like to see 1.25%. And what does that 0.25 do for the school system? Okay, retains talent. I've heard quite recently that we are losing teachers. Hoover, just up the road, Alabaster. Okay, so we would like to retain the talent. Okay, and also the support staff. I think the support staff is huge and vital to the school system. Bus drivers, cafeteria, all of the above. Okay, custodians. So increase pay for the support staff. That 0.25 goes directly to the school system, because as we know, the tax increase, okay, that for the 1% to the 1.25 will generate 1.25 million. So if I'm doing my math correct, and the math is correct, so so that's what I like to do. And by the way, the city isn't doing anything about that right now, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. We will now move on to our closing statements, which were determined again by a drawing prior to both candidates coming on stage. And that order will start with Chad Leverett and then go to Will Blake.
So if you know me, whenever I'm given an opportunity, I try to talk about my faith. And You all in this room probably came here with a pretty good idea of who you're wanting to vote for. I know, I've aligned on that, but what the message that I would like to give is, if you know the greatest command in all of the Bible is found in Matthew 22:34-40, and it says, hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love your Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law of the prophets hang on these two commandments." And so love. The city of Pelham loves each other. We love the businesses. We love our neighbors. We show up for community events. We show up. The toy drive that we have is phenomenal, that the city supports. And so I've seen the giving heart that this community has, and I love being part of Pelham. And it's summed up in I posted a song yesterday on my political page, Chad Leverett, Pelham City Council. I would encourage you to go listen to it with your eyes closed. If you're an alto singer in this room, you know what I'm talking about. Altos knock it out of the park. I love altos. So there's a song called Greatest Commands. Verse 1, the altos start off and it says, "Love one another, for love is of God. He who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love." God is love. Verse 2, it brings in the bass, and they sing, "Love bears all things, believes all things, love hopes all things, endures all things." Verse 3, the tenors, which I also like, sing in different levels 12 times, "God is love." And in verse 4, the sopranos come in, "Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and all thy mind." I'm getting the time here, I'm almost done. "Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, for God is love, God is love, God is love." Proverbs 23:7. "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." I love Pelham, and Pelham is in my heart, and that's why I do what I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leverett. Now we will go to Mr. Blake's closing statement.
I'm going to take a different approach. So first, thank you for being here. Thank you, Wendy, for allowing me to do this. I appreciate it. It's been unique the past several months, so thank you. And also, I would like to thank Councilman, in alphabetical order, Mercer, Councilman Wash. I reached out to them in the very beginning. This is my first time ever doing this, so I reached out to them, both of them. They couldn't have been more generous with their time, answering all the questions that I've had, and I asked them questions. And they didn't shy away from them. So personally, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm having a blast doing this for like the past several months. This is so fun, to get out to by the way, 117 neighborhoods are in Pelham. That's how many neighborhoods are in Pelham. And we service 118 miles of road in Pelham. I learned that on my travels. And so I wanted to say thank you again for allowing me to come up here for the Shelby County Reporter and the Chamber for giving me the opportunity. So thanks again, and vote Will Blake, Pelham City Council, place 2.
Thank you to both of these candidates. To the stage. And in this portion, we will have 3 candidates, so we will be asking 3 different questions. So each candidate gets the opportunity to go first. So as we begin with our place 3 candidates, we're going to invite Kathy Cartagena to the stage, to the microphone, Kirk Manser will continue to serve as our timekeeper for the 2 minutes for each answer, right down here in front. So we'll start with question 1. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
That's a great question. And good evening, everyone. I remember a couple years ago, we were in an intervention at the UAB working nationwide, and we were asked for avoiding some protocols to skip and get it faster. And that was a very hard time to decide what to do. But I still integrate as serving to the nation and working with the federal government and federal funding your integrity is tested every day, every second. So I remember that day when I made the decision on my team, and we decide to just continue going and say whatever happened, we're gonna say good and say it for us, for the whole nation. And we ended well, and actually we got an award. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cartagena. We will now invite Tim Reddick to the stage for the same question.
Well, I'm in commercial real estate, so this is going to be a really easy question because it happens literally on a regular basis. Is if you represent your client and the other broker, another broker's involved, inevitably it's always, tell me, what will it take? You know, what's the number? Well, you can't do that. If you're representing your client, and he shouldn't be doing it because he's representing his client, but you know, it challenges your integrity because the easy way would be go for an easy commission and tell them what the number is. But you can't do that. It's just, you know, that's the easiest answer. You probably couldn't give a question ever because it doesn't never stop. It's just part of the business we're in. So that's it.
Thank you. We'll now invite Chris Towns to the microphone, and we'll ask the same question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Well, I think one of the most difficult things for me that I've had to face was raising my second son, Andrew Paul. There was a time in our life when Andrew Paul was making really bad decisions, and it was really hard because as a mother, you want them to thrive. You want them to have everything. But at the same time, when the things that make them thrive limit them because it's the only consequential thing that will really get to them. But then on the other hand, it could take away from them an opportunity that they may never ever get again. So my son played baseball, and I realized that that was the only thing that I could take away from my son that would really, really hit him where it hurt. But it also meant scholarship money. It also meant experience. And so I had to make the decision, even when my family was screaming, that's not the right thing to do. This is going to mess up his life, this, that, and the other. I made the decision by myself because my husband fought me every step of the way and we took baseball away. Andrew now is thriving. And I know and I realize that he understands that the sacrifice that he gave up turned him into the man that he is today. He's actually mentioned men to me that he uses as examples that he uses the example of himself to help motivate and move forward. So, although it may have been said that I was a bad mother, it turned out that it was the best decision. And I still have people judge me about it. But I see the fruit. And it says that they will be known by their fruit. So, thank you.
We'll now move on to question 2, and we will start this question with Tim Reddick. What would be your top initiative for the next city council to consider? Can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Great question. And so you answered my dilemma because I had an opening statement and an ending statement. So that answers in my ending statement. An initiative that just came about literally last week in talking to small business owners was how much they feel sort of out on an island, especially with all the new development that's going to be coming with the amphitheater and any new development that will be coming with the high school, is they feel like they're getting no support. And the easy answer is, well, that's the way business is. You got to eat what you kill, and unfortunately, it's just not that easy. The initiative that I really would like to investigate and pursue, if elected, would be to create some kind of council or marketing arm for the city to help specifically small businesses market, get business without spending an arm and a leg. To do it themselves, it costs them anywhere from $700 a month. Well, I know that for myself. $700 a month to $2,000 a month just to advertise. And when you're struggling to make ends meet and pay power bills, that's a tough thing to do. So, small business is really important to the city. They've invested their time. They've been here when nobody else was here. They deserve a shot. And we don't need to forget them when all the new business comes.
We'll now invite Ms. Towns back to the microphone for the same question. What would be your top initiative for the next city council to consider, and can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Well, one of the main things that I would actually push, which kind of echoes what Reddick said, is strengthening our local economy. I believe that Pelham has been for far too long the place between Hoover and Alabaster. I think it's time that we continue the momentum that has been started by our current council. And I think that if we can strengthen our local economy by luring larger commercial businesses to our town, we can strengthen the economy, increase our revenues, and bring forth an economy that feeds our local businesses so that they can thrive. Because to Radek's point, these people have invested. There are friends, there are neighbors. They're closing down because their rent has been increased and they don't have the revenue coming in to be able to sustain that. So my passion is for the people of Pelham and to the capacity of our economy. I think that it's important that we lure large businesses to our town to make it a destination. And luring that type of business will increase traffic counts. I was in commercial development for 12 years. I served as a paralegal for outside counsel. And all I ever heard, the importance of traffic counts. Those can be increased if we go out and we pursue these businesses and bring them to our town. Make our town a destination. Why not Pelham? It's about time that Pelham is no longer a day late and a dollar short. It's time we take off our sweatpants and we strut our stuff. It's about time Pelham be considered first instead of last. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep pushing it because, as you can tell, I'm very forward. So.
Thank you, and I'll invite Ms. Cartagena back to the microphone for the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Thank you. And actually, that is one of my passion also, because I'm currently working with nonprofits, and actually one of the nonprofits here that it helps small businesses, and also we can do some partnership with not only nonprofits but also with corporates in some other areas that we can merge together and bring those entrepreneur leadership and also mentoring on either on the small businesses, and also bring that type of marketing that others business can come to the city. So it exists the program. So it's already happening right now in other cities, and I'm part of those programs also for other organizations that I volunteer myself. So it's something that it has been. Why we're going to create a new wheel when it's already working. So what we need to find is the partners and also the organization that can work with us together and bring it here to Pelham and bring a stronger Pelham. Because we have the talent. We have the talent, we have the business, we have the area and the space. So it's just about to find the partnership and the programs that are down there and the fundings that are down there upstairs on the federal government that is ready, waiting for us. So that's what we need to find it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our final question for place 3 candidates, and we're going to start with Ms. Towns.
Give it to me.
Give an example of a time when you had to evaluate competing priorities with limited resources. What factors did you consider, and how did you decide what to fund or support?
Okay, well, that also comes back to my children. So my eldest son is incredibly confident. He speaks several languages, he's an artist, and by golly, he has worked his butt off to get to where he is. Being a mother of 5 boys, we had and still have very limited resources. My husband and I, it's no secret that we came here, we were still in school, we were going to stay here a year, and we've never left. But the plan was to attend school here, get our stuff together and go back and live life, But we were not where we wanted to be raising kids. So when my son got into OU, Oklahoma University, my husband and I made the biggest sacrifices. We sold our vehicles, we sold everything, because by golly, he was going to go to college and he was going to be the first one, to graduate from my family from a university here in the United States. Because in this country we have the opportunity. You're just to grasp it. And I was not about to take that from my son, who had done everything to learn the boy speaks Russian and German and a bit of Spanish and a little bit of Italian. He's talented. There was no way I was going to take that away from him. So we poured into tutors for his testing to be high enough to get into the school. And so it took a lot of discipline for my husband and I to feed our children and to make the sacrifices so that he could have the life that we had made mistakes to not acquire. So it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But my son is now a 2nd lieutenant, and he speaks even better Russian. So I think it was worth it. Thank you.
We'll now ask Ms. Cartagena back to the stage, or back to the microphone, for the same question. Give an example of a time when you had to evaluate competing priorities with limited resources. What factors did you consider, and how did you decide what to fund or support?
I have been on that stage several times through my careers because working on federal fundings, that is pretty much every 5 years. So every 5 years you need to be creative in trying to find other areas, how to keep working for the community, working for the whole state, and trying to find those areas that people are with chronic disease and other illness that they need to continue having that opportunity. So right now I'm going through that process, and we has been very creative on my division where I work to keep working and keep more than 170 employees also, and continue bringing the services, the resources for the community. So when we talk about how to take the priorities, we need to be very creative, but also very out-box thinker. So, and that's what we do. And I think that's one of my expertise on where I do, working nationwide with programs, that we always are having the opportunity to see other areas in other states, how they can do it and fix it, so we can implement also here in Alabama. And I'm sure that I will be able to do it here in Pelham.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now close the question and answer portion for place 3 with Mr. Reddy.
Same question?
Same question. You need it?
Semper Fi, by the way. Had an answer and just changed literally midway through this session here, but the easiest answer would be a business type question where we have to look at return versus what we spend. That's not a fun answer. That's not a great answer, but it's a good business answer. It's just standard operating procedure. You look at what you're about to spend. You look at the return you're going to get on it. Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not the answer I want to give. We have 4 dogs, and we had one that literally was 24 hours from being put down. Our option was to spend $2,000 for a maybe. So, that's a lot of money for anybody to spend. But we couldn't do it. So we had to find alternatives, and we ended up going, believe it or not, did y'all know there's holistic vets? Went to a holistic vet and got treatments. My wife, more than me, spent day and night, 24 hours, taking care of a dog because she didn't have a choice. She wasn't ready to go. So that was our main thing about something that was worth every minute we spent versus the money. So that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our closing statements for place 3. And again, these were determined by drawing prior to them coming on stage. And we will start with Ms. Towns.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming out tonight, and thank you for all of those who have come in support. And I hope that you will consider all of us and truly look at our platforms to determine if we really do align with what you believe and what you see for the city going forward. If there's anything that has not been discussed, anything that has not been asked, I'm open to the questions. I will be answering way more. And so if you have a curiosity, if you have something that you want to inquire about, please feel free to reach out via email on my website or Facebook, Messenger. But what I really want to drive home is that I really believe in Pelham. I believe that Pelham has so much more potential to be unlocked. I believe that we have so much personality, we have the heart, we have the people, we have so much in our community that can still be brought forward. And I hope that I can be a part of that to continue to propel it forward. And so if you'll have me, I promise that if you elect me to the City Council, I will do the best that I can with everything that I have and everything that I am. I promise you that. I promise to listen, and I'm a people person. And so if that means anything to you, I hope that you'll consider giving me your vote. And again, I'm here for whatever. And even if I don't get elected, I'm sure the City Council will continue to see me there because I've been like that for many years. So can't get rid of me that quick. But thank you so much. And consider Chris Towns for place 3. Thank you.
We will now go to Ms. Cartagena for her closing statement.
I just want to close tonight by making something clear. I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm here just to serve, and I'm here to bring a balance that put many years of public health of experience on the table. Experience that will be help guide decisions that touch every person here in Pelham, no matter background, no matter age, or no matter language. So that is my balance that I'm trying to bring here to the city. For more than 30 years, I have worked to improve health and quality of life in communities across the United States and other countries also. I can compare from other cities face challenge and use the knowledge to create opportunities for Pelham. My work is always about listening, finding solutions, and making change that lasts. Public health is the umbrella that covers every part of the city, and that's my passion. That's what I graduated at the University in Puerto Rico, and I'm still working for. That public health also is coming from even safety to education and economic growth to access. Healthy communities mean strong community. That's one of the slogans for Pelham, strong Pelham. So that's what we want to do. So I also want you to know this. As a public health worker, I'm fully committed to our city. If I'm elected, I will donate my entire council stipend to organizations that make a real difference in our residents' life. So that's going to make those communities that are undeserved or even stronger. On August 26th, you have the power to choose a council that brings balance, expertise, and promise to serve beyond personal gains. Please this time, vote like your well-being, your family future, and your community health depends on it, because it does. Thank you for your time, thank you for your trust, and thank you for at least believing in what Pelham can become when we work together. Thank you and have a great night.
We'll now move on to Mr. Reddick's closing statement.
So, genius that I am, I prepared an opening and a closing, like I said. So if you want the closing, you got to come see me afterwards. I'll give you a great closing. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself that I was going to begin with. I've been married to my wife Ginger for 35 years. We have 3 children, Jeannie, Ryan, Drew, 2 grandchildren, Braden and Mason. I'm not a politician. I'm your neighbor, businessman, someone who's been proud to call Pelham home for 31 years. Over those years, I've coached youth baseball, basketball, football, and believe it or not, soccer. Soccer taught me 2 things. 1 was patience. And 2 was how to hurt a bunch of 6-year-olds that have no idea where they're going. I've served on the Pelham YMCA Board of Directors. I've also been president for the North Shelby Rotary Club. Those roles taught me that it's not about one person, it's about people, a group, to make things come together. Professionally, I mentioned earlier as well, in commercial real estate for 34 years. Jack of all trades, commercial sales, commercial investment, tenant representation, municipal consulting, sure I'm leaving something out, property management, and leasing. I've helped cities and developers take a project from paper to reality for projects that create jobs, strengthen tax, and improve the quality of life for a city. I've owned Southeast Commercial for 17 years. We're in multiple states, and we've built strong relationships with business leaders, developers that bring a lot to the table. I have not held political office before, but I have been on the other side of the table in many cities, working to approve fund projects that benefit the residents. And working with a circle of people who bring experience to the table. Why I'm running is I think Pelham's at a turning point. Right now, we don't have a lot of real estate to do anything with. We are surrounded on 4 sides by 4 different cities. There's nowhere else for us to grow. Our one shot is the amphitheater. We need to get that right. So I want to be part of that and contribute to getting that project done and improving everybody's quality of life in the city. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our Place 3 candidates. If we could give them another round of applause. We will now invite running for Place 4 to the stage. And again, we will have 3 candidates for Place 4, so once again, we will have 3 questions for this portion as well. Darius Foster.
Good evening.
Oh,
Good evening.
Okay, I got you. Kirk right here is going to be our timekeeper again, so your 2 minutes for each question, and he'll be holding up the 1:30 and then your stop time. So now we welcome our candidates for place 4 to the stage, and we're going to start with question 1 for Darius Foster. And each candidate will get the same question all 3 times. And the first question will be, tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Great question. Personal or professional?
Either one.
Okay. Just last night at the football field, I'm the head coach for the 6th grade football team. And we were having a scrimmage between the 5th graders, and things got a lot out of hand. And it was my knee-jerk to protect my players from the other players. And I ended up having a discussion with one of the coaches. And for a moment, one of his coaches got a little bit excited. And I had an opportunity to do something, and I didn't do it. And at the end, I kind of rallied everybody around it being Team Pelham, and it was great. Last night, yeah. Go.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll now invite Ron Griggs to the microphone, and we'll ask the same question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
In my profession, at this point in time, I'm in insurance. A lot of times you get caught in situations in insurance where there's different parts of the insurance policy you have to talk about. I've been in situations where somebody would say one thing about what the policy covered and it really didn't cover that, or something else was involved in it. And you have to be careful when you do that, because that person that you're talking to is putting your facts and your relationship and your knowledge base. They're trusting you to be honest with them. I could have told them something different. I could have reduced the policy. All of us buy insurance, don't we? We like to lower the prices. It's very easy to lower that price and change some coverages on it and not be favorable to give that person the correct answer. But my job is that when something does happen, I can look at that person face to face and say, I was honest with you, I told you correct, and this is the way it was. And what guided me in that direction? My father was a minister. So since 5 years old, I've been in public life. I know what it's like to be critiqued. I know what it's like to be 12 years old, or 15 years old, or 35 years old, or 50 years old and be critiqued. Always, always, always respect and honor your name and your parents, is the way I was taught. That's what you're supposed to do. And thanks. Thank you.
Now invite Marcus Snowden to the microphone for the same question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Sure, I think that's a great question. Good evening, everybody. It's a great crowd here tonight, and I appreciate everybody for coming out. I'm an engineer by trade. I've worked with B&K for 20 years, KBR for another 9, and I'm currently with Yates Engineers. In that 20 years that I spent at B&K, I had the opportunity to get promoted into middle management, and once B&K decided to sell themselves, I was responsible for a market vertical. It means I had a client base that once we were acquired by a different company, that market base and myself contractually had to go over with the company that acquired us. Well, you have to learn a new accounting system. Those of you accountants that's in the audience, you have to learn a new accounting system. So in my position, I had to heavily rely on my financial analyst that had been with the company for quite some time. Well, to make a long story short, one of the projects that was assigned to us, I was concerned about how we set it up in the Great Plains accounting system. So I had this analyst review it to make sure we were doing it correctly. Well, unfortunately, what he told us to do was totally incorrect. And after I'd been with the company for a few months, I realized that. And I told my assistant, I said, look, we've got to correct this. Otherwise, we're working with a publicly traded company and our financials are incorrect. So I'm telling you today, we've got to correct these numbers because these numbers are not correct. Consequently, the folks in the corporate office were upset with me and they called me into the carpet, and I'm in the conference room with 3 vice presidents and they're looking at me wondering, why are you smiling? Because we're upset. I said, well, first of all, this smile I have, you didn't give it to me and you can't take it away. I know I didn't do anything wrong. I know what I did was right, and I stand by that. Thank you.
And I'll go to question 2, and Ron Griggs will be our first to answer this question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Well, the initiative now that's being handled is the amphitheater. That is probably one of the #1 projects that you have here in the city. I'm going to tell you that I have seen a thorough job done by your city employees, being honest, open, and having the opportunity to sit down and discuss things with the citizens here in Pelham. You can be very appreciative of that. If you go to other towns, you probably wouldn't see all that's going on. But they have spent some tremendous time putting that together. I look forward to the fact that once all those data are put together and things are put together, that there'll be a decision made on what will go into that type thing. I may or may not be a part of that situation, but I think that's probably the first thing that's going to have to be dealt with the city council is that. Other things I can name, roads and school systems and all this other stuff that's going on too. So there's a lot happening, but that's probably the most prevalent things that people look at right now and think about when they think about the city of Pelham. Thank you.
Next up will be Marcus Snowden answering the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Okay. And Mr. Griggs stole my thunder. I think he was, when we were back there, he was looking at my notes. I believe. That laser surgery, you need to let me know who that surgeon was. Quite honestly, I think that the Oak Mountain Amphitheater and the city's acquisition of that property was a huge move, a very important move. And I'll tell you why as quickly as I can so my timer won't run out here. We are fortunate to have 2 exits off of I-65. And I call I-65 our Nile River. And those of you, you have to understand my dad was a Baptist minister as well. So, I feel comfortable standing and talking, and you're going to hear me make references to things that are biblical. But the Nile River was, in ancient times, a means of civilization development, okay? So that amphitheater property, if developed as I think we can and should and will, we can cast nets out onto I-65 and bring in more tax dollars, capturing people traveling through our area and hopefully spending more time in our city because of what we bring to the table by developing this Oak Mountain Amphitheater property. You mentioned what other initiatives. I mean, as far as improving paving, improving our school system, I can't emphasize to you enough the importance of human capital, okay? You've got to have it if you're going to grow as a city. Our children are probably one of the most important assets we have in this city. And we've got to do everything we can, whether we have a child in the school system or not, because, you know, my son is an adult. My son and daughter-in-law are both Pelham High grads. You know, they've gone through the system. But whether you have kids in the system or not, they're our kids, and it's important that we do everything we can to nurture them and bring them along. Thank you.
We'll now ask Mr. Foster the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
Thank you. I would say that we need a resident-backed vision for our city. The amphitheater is important, but it's not the most important thing. Ask about our identity. Are we trying to be like Hoover? You know, pursue 70,000 people, all the traffic, needing 3 exits? Or do we want to be more like Homewood or Mountain Brook? More community focused. It has businesses, but it's not all the traffic and commerce. And so I don't think we know that yet. I'm very leery of traffic. Traffic does bring tax revenue, but congestion suffocates communities. And right now, if you go down I-50 on high noon on Saturday or to the Alabaster exit, no one moved to Pelham for that. And so I think the most important thing is getting a resident-backed vision for our city and then grow into that. Thank you.
We'll now go to our final question for the Q&A portion, and we'll start with Mr. Snowden. Give an example of a time when you had to evaluate competing priorities with limited resources. What factors did you consider, and how did you decide what to fund or support?
I think that's a good question. I can go to my home and start there. We all know that when you're starting a family, trying to get started, as a young family, it's difficult. So, you've got to make priorities. And, one of the things that I had the opportunity to learn early in my career was the importance of making strong financial decisions and starting out being frugal. My wife will tell you probably too frugal at times, but you've got to have a conservative mindset when it comes to your funds and saving, and also learn through co-workers the importance and the power of investing. And over time, that has been a blessing to me and my family. So you come to realize at home, when you make an investment, number one, in like buying a home, buying your first car, how important it is to be on sound financial footing. People question you about, tithing and things of that nature, but I believe in the power of that. And, when the Bible speaks of opening, the windows of heaven and just putting more on you than, you could ever imagine, I'm here to tell you as a witness to that, that is true. You trust in the Lord and lean on His understanding, and I can assure you things will work out for you. Sometimes it may not seem like it, especially when you're out campaigning and people don't want to be bothered and you're knocking on doors and all this type of thing. But, all I can do is encourage, myself as well as all these candidates is stay the course. Stay the course. And good things will happen. Thank you.
Now I invite Mr. Foster back to the microphone for the same question. Give an example of a time when you had to evaluate competing priorities with limited resources. What factors did you consider, and how did you decide what to fund or support?
So I want to talk about the foster allowance program for my children. My wife and I were going to plan to go take a trip somewhere. We decided to do an allowance program for the kids, and it worked out great. We gave them all a certain amount of money at the beginning of the week or of the month, and gave them tasks throughout the month, and if they did those tasks, they got the money at the end of the month. Well, they all had to get the perfect month to get the money. If not, they all lost the money. I'm here to tell you, 2 years later, they're starting to get money. And I'm being light, but we really did want to go to France. We really did. But making that decision to invest in the children has paid off fantastic. So I'll share that.
We'll now ask Mr. Griggs the same question. Give an example of a time when you had to evaluate competing priorities with limited resources. What factors did you consider, and how did you decide what to fund or support?
I am the former principal of Thompson High School. I taught here at Pelham for 10 years before then, and then before coming to Thompson, I was assistant principal at Shelby County High School. All of you know, because you're here and you've got a city school system at this point in time, your students and your parents, and provides for this school system that needs to be done. When you're part of a county school system, you have limited resources on what goes on. The 12 years I spent there, we were on the county system. That revenue was minimally passed out because, as Mr. Wayne Lowe used to say, I got 9 children, I don't have 1, I got 9. So you're only going to get X amount of dollars subject to what your needs. What is the most important thing about making those decisions when you got limited resources? What's best for the kids? That's what I had to look at. What is the things that we really need to do academic-wise to make them as successful as possible? So we had to sit down budgets. I had 16 pages of accounts, and I had to make sure that was taken care of. But the focus on that decision was what's best for the students and what resources can we use best to educate them in the educational process. You're blessed. You got a school system. You did an outstanding job agreeing to do that. This council and the Board of Education has. So be proud of that, because they have resources that we didn't have back then. And I know the difference between one and the other. So I applaud you for that, and I thank you for that, and thank you.
We'll now go on to our closing statements, and we'll start with Mr. Griggs. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to share those closing statements. And Mr. Griggs, you take it away.
I'm going to do something just a little bit different, because I've lived here for 54 years. Pelham was 7 years old when I moved here. I know what it means to drive down Highway 31 at 70 miles an hour and not be breaking the speed limit. There were no traffic lights, there were no police officers, and that was what was the posted speed limit. So I wasn't speeding, I was just doing what I could. As a candidate for the place for the Pelham City Council, I want to express my sincere gratitude first to the president and former elected officials at Pelham. They have done an outstanding job putting this city together. I want to thank them for everything that they've done. I also want to thank the leadership as far as the employees of this town. They made a choice to put their career into working for a city like Pelham. They have took their knowledge base and their efforts and made this a successful city. And finally, though, I want to recognize you as citizens. You chose to move here. You chose to be a part of this. You are the heart of Pelham. You are the reason everybody else does everything they do to provide for your needs and your services. You've decided to live here. You decided to raise your family here. You support the neighborhood and participate in our community just like we see tonight. You're participating and being a part of what's going on here. I want to thank everyone, elected officials, employees, citizens, for the part they played in Pelham over the 61 years that it's been in existence. Every effort, large or small, has contributed to the success and the spirit of this city. That work has made Pelham great as what it is today. please everyone, on August the 26th, 2025, go to Pelham Civic Center where you're at now and vote. Whoever you vote for, vote. I look forward, if you choose, by the citizens of Pelham, choose for me to serve on the city council, of doing so. It would be a high honor because you allowed me, when I was a young man, to do something that I wanted to do, and that's coach football. And this community allowed me to do that. I want to thank you for considering me for this position, and I know I'm out of time, sir, so I need to stop. Thank you very much.
We will now hear from Mr. Snowden and his closing statement.
Thank you. Louisiana, born and raised, but Pelham, Alabama is where my home was made. That's been my campaign slogan, and it's been my life. You know, when you are a child, you really don't have anything to be able to say about where you grow up, but I was very blessed to grow up in a rural part of North Louisiana around my dad's uncles who were pulpwood haulers, cement finishers, carpenters, but hard-working people. And they instilled in my dad that same hard-working effort. And of course, that got instilled in me at a very early age. First of all, I want to thank my wife for coming. I won't point at her or make her stand up because she wants to remain anonymous when she goes to Walmart. But I've known her since 6th grade. When we were in 6th grade, she didn't realize what a catch I was. It took her all the way to 11th grade before she realized that. But, we've been soulmates, and I appreciate her so much for everything she's done to help raise a family. And now we're grandparents, and we just couldn't be happier. But last but not least, I want to thank Mayor Waters. I remember when Mayor Waters came to our house years ago, and he took a lot of time, and I think he realized he made a mistake when he came in my yard because I didn't turn him loose until I was satisfied that he had answered all my questions. But I've been very impressed with him. I've been very impressed with how the city has been ran over his administration, and I just want to publicly say thank you to you, sir, for everything you've done for this city. And I'm proud of our city. I'm proud of the leaders that we have in our city. And if you choose me as your place 4 representative, I want you to know that our city is safe, and I plan to do everything I can to help keep it safe. May God bless you, and may God keep you. Thank you.
We now welcome back Mr. Foster for his closing statement.
Thank you. Our city's safe. Our city is clean. Our schools are good. We're in a great position financially, so I have nothing negative to launch from in my campaign. I want to take our city from good to great. And I've identified 3 areas that we can do that. 1, getting a resident-backed vision. Getting buy-in from all residents. City Hall owning that and getting more engagement. Number 2, investing more in seniors. We put a lot of money in other things, and school-age kids. I have school-age kids, but in addition to that, expand the senior center and its services. And last, continue our thoughts about infrastructure. The paving project is working well, and our water system is well funded. As far as myself, 3 governors have trusted me and appointed me to commissions with $2 billion in funding. Both mayoral candidates have trusted me, appointed me to the CDA. My teammates on the CDA trusted me by electing me chairman twice, and we expanded the CDA's funding capacity. The city staff trusted me. This is my 4th year as a coach. If I wasn't responsible with the resources, the children, and the parents, I would not be doing that. The parents trust me. I've had one of the highest retention rates for my teams. And most importantly, the kids trust me, because they were texting me right now about how it's going. So I'm asking you to trust me. In my election, I've served every generation in Pelham already. And so I ask for your vote on August 26th for Pelham City Council Place 4. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our Place 4 candidates for being here tonight. Let's give them another round of applause. City Council place for tonight, and that's Place 5. We'll invite all of our Place 5, or both of our Place 5 candidates to the stage at this time. We're going to start our Place 5 questions with Michael Harris. So we'll invite him to the microphone first.
Hey, good evening.
Kirk, right here will be our timekeeper for the 2 minutes for each question and your closing statements. So we'll start with our first question for Mr. Harris. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
Integrity. Okay, earlier this year, we were filling a vacancy on the Pelham Board of Education. During that process, I witnessed a highly qualified candidate get unfairly pushed aside. I felt in my heart that this gentleman was qualified for the job. I felt he was in the best for the city of Pelham. For those of you that don't know, I have 3 kids in 4 of our Pelham City schools, so this decision was very, very important for me. It affects our day-to-day lives. Moving forward, I supported this gentleman. I nominated this gentleman, knowing I was going against the momentum in the room, and I wasn't appointed to the city council. I wasn't appointed to the city council to just go along with the crowd. I was appointed to the council to do what's best for the city of Pelham. Integrity is about doing the right thing when no one's looking. Integrity is about making good decisions when they're not always the easiest decision. Thank you.
We'll now invite Russell Platt to the stage, or to the microphone, for the same question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed or were part of a situation that tested your integrity. How did you respond, and what principles guided your actions?
So a story that I don't tell often. About 10 years ago, I was actually working as a minister. I was a preacher for a small church, not in Alabama. And I was in a situation where it became clear to me that I was dealing with a few people in control who were, well, they were very racist. And it became clear to me that I could keep my job if I would just do what they wanted. Let the people that they wanted into the building, not invite that particular speaker for the revival because of who is in his congregation, and I could keep my job. And I'm proud to say that I lost that job. That I was willing to tell them, no, if you say that this is what you believe, you can't act like this. And if that's who you are, I don't want any part of it. And that set me on a long and interesting journey that eventually brought me to here. But the principle that I think if I had to boil that down into, this is the core of it, is that standing on principle, standing on integrity, doing what you know is right, that is going to pay dividends. That is going to put you in a better place. It may not seem like it immediately, losing a job, losing an income, but it opens up the door for you to be somewhere else, somewhere better. And that is a lesson I have applied to every career, every job that I've been in since then. And I will bring the same integrity to being on the city council.
Thank you. We'll stick with Mr. Platt for the second question as well. That question is, what would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? And can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
So, excuse me. So anyone who's been seeing my videos online, you know that I talk a lot about education and about making sure that our education system and that the people that we appoint to oversee that system have all the resources that they need. You may not be familiar with what's known as the Simplified Seller's Use Tax, the SSUT. This is it's a little complicated, but it's how online sales tax is handled from people from in-state, from out-of-state retailers. And I realized that someone brought this to my attention, and I dug into it, and I realized that because of the way this is set up, our schools are losing out on about $850,000 last year. The number grows every year, of what they would have had in funding if that had been local spending and coming off that 1% dedicated to our schools tax that we have. And I asked around, and I could not find anyone else who knew that number, anyone else who had done that math. The city knew it was a problem, but nobody seemed to know how big it was. And so that and the Board of Education appointment process that I've recommended, proposed some upgrades to that to increase its fairness, to bring it in line with, well, really modern standards for how you run a job interview, especially for something as important as a 5-year appointment that makes this sort of sweeping decisions and control over the direction of our schools. If I had to pick something, I would say the number one thing would be focusing on these priorities for education. Our schools are a primary economic driver for our city. People come in, move in to be in our school system, and then those people work here, they spend their dollars here, which means they are paying taxes here. So this is a cycle that all works together to improve our city. And so education on looking for how we can fill that gap to our schools and how we can upgrade the Board of Education interview and appointment process so that the public has a full say in it.
We'll ask Mr. Harris the same question. What would be your top new initiative for the next city council to consider? Can you tell us what, if anything, the city is currently doing in that area?
So to follow up on the sales tax, our city staff has been aware. They've been working on that for many, many months. There's still a lot of questions at the state and federal level about that tax for our schools, and I fully am wanting the tax for our schools. I would first off, I push for public safety. I think that's the most important thing for our community. Public safety, the building blocks that make our community go round. The most important, I would also support a more connected Pelham. We've made a lot of great strides with our Greenway Trail, connecting our neighborhoods and our businesses. I would support just continuing that process, continuing connecting Pelham with schools, parks, businesses, and the sidewalks. I think it's great where our kids and families can utilize our connected Pelham.
And we'll stay with Mr. Harris for our closing statements portion. We'll continue to have 2 minutes to share your closing statement. And Mr. Harris, you start first, and then we will go to Mr. Platt.
Pelham is my hometown. I've seen it grow from a small, tight-knit place into a thriving city that it is today. Here's one thing, I believe our best days are still ahead. Over the past year on the City Council, I've learned firsthand that progress does not just happen. It takes listening to our residents, making tough calls, and keeping our word. I've worked to support public safety, strengthen our schools, invest in parks and recreation, and make smart choices that help businesses thrive. To me, serving on the City Council isn't about politics, it's about people. It's about the kids on our ball fields, the families building their lives here, and the business owners who put everything on the line every single day. It's about making decisions today that keep Pelham a place we're proud to hand down to the next generation. I'm committed to being accessible, transparent, and a voice for common sense leadership. I'm not interested in playing games or chasing headlines. I'm interested in doing the work. And I'll keep doing that if you give me that opportunity. In 14 days, I'm asking you for your vote so we can continue the progress that we've worked hard to make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. We'll now go to Mr. Platt for his 2-minute closing statement.
So over the last few months, I have knocked on doors, I've attended meetings, I have had hundreds of conversations with Pelham residents, and I have heard what matters most to you. Strong schools, safe neighborhoods, smoother traffic, steady growth that protects our small town character, and making sure that our first responders continue to have the support they need. You've also told me that you want a city council that listens, that is transparent, that solves problems instead of letting them drag on. That is the kind of council member that I intend to be, and I've already begun to prove it. Take the online sales tax issue that I mentioned. As I said, the city knew there was a problem, but no one had acted and did not seem to know how bad it was. I did the math, seeing that not only were we missing out on that $850,000 for our schools that I mentioned before, but also $1.25 million to the city itself, and over $2 million in lost revenue to local businesses. You can't fix what you don't measure, so I've already put a plan on the table to start tracking and addressing the shortfall. When that last Board of Education appointment exposed the flaws in how candidates were interviewed, I drafted a proposal to bring it in line with professional hiring standards, to make it more transparent, fair, and focused on qualifications. This is all about restoring public trust in the process. And then in this campaign, when residents continue to tell me that they wish there was a single place to see all the candidates and learn about them, I built it, not as a campaign promotion, but as a public resource. A webpage linking to each candidate's website, including my opponents, so that you, the residents of Pelham, could compare us directly. This role is about more than just showing up and nodding along. It's about digging into the facts, asking hard questions, and bringing forward solutions that work for our whole community. If you want a council member who will represent you, whether we agree or not, who keeps the focus on solutions, not drama, and approaches every challenge with clear, calm thinking, then I humbly ask for your vote. My name is Russell Platt. I'm running for City Council, Place 5. And my promise to you is simple. No drama, no strings, just Pelham.
Thank you to our Place 5 candidates. We appreciate your commitment to running for office and serving on Pelham City Council. Let's give them one more round of applause. Candidates to the stage in alphabetical order: Maurice Mercer and Rick Wash. To both candidates, your willingness to put yourselves before the voters of the city of Pelham for the position of mayor is a true testament to your desire to serve your community. I'll explain how this format for this position, for this portion of the forum will go. Each candidate will be asked the same questions and given 2 minutes to respond. The sequence for answering questions will rotate alphabetically, and neither candidate has been provided the questions before tonight's event. The candidates will respond to these questions in this alphabetical sequence, with each candidate alternating responding to each question first, the equal amount of times. The rotation sequence will continue in this fashion through the end of the question-answer portion of the mayoral portion of tonight's forum. In the interest of time, there will be no opening statements. There will, however, be the opportunity for each candidate to provide a closing statement. These closing statements will again be no longer than 2 minutes. Kirk Manser up front will continue to serve as our timekeeper with a 1 minute and 30-second warning on the countdown. So let's get started with this portion of the forum, and we will start first with Maurice Mercer for the first question. Mr. Mercer, what, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibility of the City of Pelham's mayor?
Thank you for that question. I think the priorities for the mayor of Pelham would include, it's the executive branch, the CEO, if you would have it, the day-to-day operations. Now in Pelham, we have a city manager by ordinance, so in that case, you'd be a co-CEO managing the overday operations being a champion for the city employees, a champion for small businesses, as well as a person that goes out to recruit new business and industry to Pelham. Thank you.
We'll now go to Mr. Wash for the same question. What, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibilities of the City of Pelham's mayor?
Alex, thank you, and Kurt, and to all you people that have sat through all this tonight, thank you for enduring quite an ordeal. First and foremost, I think the primary responsibility of the mayor is to be a communicator, is to be an ear, to listen to what the people have to say. I think so many times in politics or in city government, we get so enthralled in our daily operation and what's going on that we don't take time to listen to the people. I think one of the main responsibilities of the mayor is to have an open door policy, is to be able to communicate with our constituents, to be able to get out into the community. I think more importantly, that the mayor's responsibility is to be accessible, is to be involved, to be at our high school football games, to go out into the community and talk to people in their neighborhoods. I think that's extremely important. You know, there are some administrative roles that go along with being the mayor. Thank goodness we have a good administrative staff in the city of Pelham that handles most of the day-to-day operation. Most people don't know that the mayor of Pelham is a part-time position. It's not a full-time job. And so you're usually altering that duty with other people in the city that play a primary role, whether they are department heads or the city manager. So it is very important for us to all work together, and for us as a city to have an open door policy where we can communicate openly with each other. Thank you.
Mr. Wash will ask the next question to you as well to kick off question number 2. That question is, what are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you were elected mayor?
That's a great question. I'm going to try to leave this in here and talk to it since I'm not. You know, I will tell you, I've been on the council for 5 years, and in that 5 years, we as a council have done a whole lot of great things for the city of Pelham. I can't even count them all. You know, I tried to sit down and make a list of all those things, and it's lengthy. And that's a testament to 5 people being able to work together to achieve a common goal. We're not all the same. We're very, very different. The 3 things that I think that we need to focus on in my term as mayor is, number 1, and I think the most important, is infrastructure. I think that we need to address our infrastructure problem. If you look at Pelham as a whole, traffic has gotten pretty bad. And that's just one element of infrastructure. That's a big word. But I think we need to I want to set a committee of community-minded people, people in our community, that will get up and meet and come together and talk about where do we see Pelham in 25 years. And I want us to make a plan with the help of the council to budget for that and to get ready for that. The other thing I see is public safety. Public safety is huge. You know, Pelham, we are all afforded the opportunity to live in a safe city. And if you really look at the core of anything that we do as a city, everybody loves the most Pelham safe. It's a safe community where you don't have to lock your doors. You know who your neighbors are. And that's extremely important. But that doesn't just happen. That comes with a lot of hard work. I think the other thing is responsible growth. I think we've got to get the grasp that bigger is not better. We need to find where our fit is and what works for us and how to develop the amphitheater project and other projects that the city has going. So I'm out of time. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mercer will ask you the same question. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you were elected mayor?
Thank you, sir. 3 specific things. I can tell you in the 12 and a half years here serving on the council, in the last 4 years serving as council president, it's been an absolute honor and privilege. Some of the projects that we've started over this time, our walking trails that we want to connect from the city park to Oak Mountain State Park. We've got a flyover grant that is being held up right now. We've also got a 261 widening project. We've just purchased the Oak Mountain Amphitheater project that's been stated before. And so we have a few projects on the table that I would like to see completed as your mayor. The thing that's been talked about a little bit this evening is the SSUT tax, the Simplified Seller's Use Tax. Basically an online tax, an Amazon tax. I plan to join the other mayors who have already posted a suit against the state of Alabama to make that tax more fair so that the city of Pelham and all cities receive their fair share of the online tax. And last, but certainly not least, one of the most important things, I'm going to champion the Officer Mentor Bill by going to Montgomery and lobbying for a change for first responders who are hurt in the line of duty, like Officer Mentor was here in Pelham, and they're in their probationary period, that they're not forced to retire without benefits. That's just wrong. My dad was a police officer, and we must take care of our first responders. And so that starts by going to Montgomery and meeting with our legislators to get a bill passed to start that. Those will be the top 3 things that I would focus on. Thank you.
We'll start with you for question 3. In your opinion, what are Pelham's biggest economic strengths and weaknesses, and how do you as mayor plan to take full advantage of those strengths and help the weaknesses?
Well, our biggest economic strengths, number one, has already been said. We have a safe community. We feel safe. We know that when we call 911, the police are on their way. The fire department is on their way. Public safety is one of our strengths. But in addition to that, Oak Mountain State Park, the largest state park in the state of Alabama. It is a catalyst for bringing visitors to the area, and then we can capitalize on the economic impact when they stop for gas, when they stop for food, fueling the local economy that ultimately goes back into our coffers. And additionally, when they stay in Pelham, we collect a lodging tax. So that's not a tax that's taxed on our people, but people visiting, that we then use the lodging tax to reinvest into more economic development. Thank you.
Mr. Watch will ask you the same question. In your opinion, what are Pelham's biggest economic strengths and weaknesses, and how do you as mayor plan to take full advantage of those strengths and help the weaknesses?
You know, I think probably our largest strength that we have is our location. You know, we're centrally located in Alabama, and we pull from other communities that are around us. I think that we should definitely understand that with the Oak Mountain Amphitheater, as well as the amenities that the city offers. You know, one of the things that we did this past year is we invested in a geogrid system, and we geogridded the Ballantrae Golf Course, the Racquet Club, the Civic Complex where we are here, and our park system. And you know, we had more visitors visit those places that the city maintains and owns than Oak Mountain State Park had. Over 1 million people came to those places, along with the 1 million that came to the state park. So I think we should capitalize on that. I think that we should grow that. I think that we should look at things that the amphitheater project is going to play perfectly into, to making more green areas, more open areas, more areas that are conducive to our community, and understanding that, you know, we want to be able to maintain and grow what we've got. And the best way to do that is to enhance what we have here in Pelham. So, thank you.
So Mr. Wash, we'll start with you for our final question. And that question is, where do you see the city of Pelham in 4 years?
That's a good question. I think that You know, as I've already stated, we have grown so many things and we have started so many things here in Pelham. One of the things that we do, that we started really with this council, is tracking capital projects. That's a very important thing to do, and we have a lot of them. The city is in the process of many big capital projects, the widening of 261, the flyover project, the amphitheater, just to name a few. I would like to see us complete those projects. You know, the 261 project's a prime example. This has been going on for some 30 years, as we all know. You know, the city really actively started acquiring land just a year and a half ago. And we have acquired all the land except for one piece of property that is holding that whole project up. And the city's in a lawsuit over that right now, trying to get that clear so we can do that project. And so, but it takes time. So I would advocate for us to sit down with that property owner. Let's work out. It can be fixed. We just got to get in the room with them. And we need to sit down with common sense and figure out what's the best way to move Pelham forward. You know, the flyover project is held up by a federal hold on the $50 million railroad grant the city got, the largest in the country, the city of Pelham got. And so it's important that we work through that. You know, our hands are somewhat tied and the city's done all we can on that, but we still need to be extremely diligent in contacting our federal level partners and working through that process. And the list is long. You know, I see Pelham to continue to grow and to continue to prosper and to continue on the trajectory that we have started, and that we will continue, and that we as a city will maintain and grow together. Thank you.
And Mr. Mercer, the same question for you. Where do you see the city of Pelham in 4 years?
4 years. See a lot of great things. In this past July, the Niche magazine or online publication ranked Pelham as one of the 8th best cities in the Birmingham metro area out of about 30 metro cities. I see us moving forward. I see us continuing to invest in quality of life initiatives around the city, not only for our children, but our aging adults. I see us being a thriving city. I see this re-amp thriving by that time. In 4 years, that should be a beacon, a project that will outlive not only this council, likely my kids and their kids, if we get it right. In addition, in 4 years, I see balanced budget, and I see Pelham being in its true essence of the absolute best place to live. And I'm committed to continuing to stand up for all of the things that we believe in family, we believe in smart growth, and we believe in being neighbors to one another. I've always led with open arms and been known to be a bridge builder, not only here in Pelham, but across the county. And that's something that I'll continue to do, to bring all families together, where everybody has a voice at the table. So in 4 years, I look forward to continued celebration for the growth that we have seen and we come to appreciate at that time. Thank you.
That concludes the question and answer portion of the mayoral forum. We'll now move into our closing statements from both candidates, and that order yet again was determined by a drawing held before both came on stage, and we will start with Maurice Mercer.
Friends and neighbors, before I give you my final words, I want to ask you to do something. Close your eyes and imagine Pelham. Picture the place you fell in love with, the ball fields on a Saturday morning, the sound of kids laughing at the parks, the church choir on Sunday, the friendly wave from a neighbor you've known for years. Picture a thriving small business community, families enjoying a meal together, young people who choose to stay here because they see a future here. Now imagine what the Pelham could be if we dream a little more. We work a little harder, and most importantly, we work together. As the son of a police officer, I commit to keeping our neighborhoods safe, where every parent rests easy at night. Together, we will continue to support the Pelham City Schools because they must continue to prepare each child for a future full of opportunities. I promise a pro-business Shop Pelham First agenda, which will keep our tax dollars working here at home. That's the Pelham I've been working for as your council president. I've been listening, leading, and putting community first. That's the Pelham I will fight for every day as your mayor. Now open your eyes. Remember this. City elections are about people. They're about you and me. They're about us, our families, our future, the place we call home. On August the 26th, I'm asking for your vote, not just to elect a mayor, but to choose vision. Choose unity over division. Choose Pelham that we all can continue to be proud of today, tomorrow, and generations to come. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mercer. We now go to Rick Wash for his closing statement.
First and foremost, I want to thank you guys. Thanks for being here tonight. Since I get to pull up the tail end of this caboose, thank you guys. What a commitment, what a great crowd. It truly shows the passion that people have for Pelham. I want to tell you a little bit, because I think it's really important. To know the future, you got to know the past. I grew up here in Pelham. My family moved here in 1975. My father started a Baptist church here in Pelham that he pastored for about 20 years before he and my mother went to Hong Kong as missionaries. I went to Pelham High School and graduated from there, and on off to school back here, and I was the very first police officer that the city of Pelham ever hired that was a Pelham High School graduate. During my time with the police department, I did all kinds of stuff. Pelham was a small police department then, very tight-knit. I was honored to start the DARE program here in Pelham because I saw the need to connect our police department and our community with our school system. I think that's extremely important. I will tell you, as your mayor, I want to keep that door open. I want us to start things back like our government youth program that we used to do when we brought the kids into school and they were elected to all the city offices. I think that's extremely important. I think our kids are our future and that we've got to connect with them. I will tell you that as your next mayor, I'm always going to be open to meeting with you, to being in your community. One of the things I want to do is us to start a neighborhood watch program that connects with all the neighborhoods through the HOA program that we've already started with the city. And I want to be able to sit down with neighbors and meet them in their neighborhoods and talk to them. So please, tonight when you leave here, let everybody you know this is a pivotal election. And this is going to change the future of Pelham. Please get out and vote on August 26th. And I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you to vote for Rick Wash for the mayor of Pelham. Thank you.